Welcome back to the Lanterne Rouge YouTube channel. The end, the last 66.7 kilometres of the Cadel Evans road race. It's been a very interesting start, more interesting than normal. It's not been one of those flat, boring starts to the race, mainly because there's been some crosswind action, some crosswind chaos even, some would say, with Team Ineos. Team Ineos made no bones about it. They put on their Instagram, if you checked on their Instagram before the start of this stage, before the start of this race rather, they said to Luke Rowe, there's some crosswinds. And yeah, from the start, they started shredding the peloton. I'm not sure right now, and they've done the same in the last 15 kilometres when they turned left onto the crosswind section on a narrow road. They started shredding the peloton again. It seems to have calmed down a little bit now. So if you're just joining now, welcome. Welcome to the Lanterne Rouge YouTube channel and the live stream. I'm pretty excited about this race. So what's happened so far? Let me recap what's happened. Ineos trying to shred the bunch in the crosswinds. Then Quartamentha Real Estate, who I mentioned earlier. Let's transition you over. Quartamentha Real Estate, who have sort of the young Australian riders. They tried to get riders in the break, and one of those riders, F's in the chat for him. I want to see F's in the chat for Elliot Schultz, Team Bar Lanterne Rouge OG subscriber. We were talking this week earlier, and he was like, Lantern, do I put the 55 on? And we were like, put the 55 on, brother. I think he has the 55 chainring on right now. But anyway, he got in a break with teammate Carter Turnbull, two young Australian riders, and Elliot was in a long breakaway in the Australian Under-23 National Championships road race, like a long time on his own, took a group of 6 guys to bring him back. Then other Team Bar Lanterne Rouge OG, Seb Berwick, got on the break and came second. Anyway, so they got a 6-minute gap, even 6.5 minutes gap to the peloton, who basically took the foot off the gas completely. Through the flatter section before, as you can see on the PCS readout, the flatter section, that false flat uphill, they've been going easy. But then the peloton at about 80 kilometers, 77 kilometers, turned left onto a narrower road, more like a Belgian width road. They're on a much wider road now. And there were some crosswinds, and Ineos immediately came to the front again with Stannard, Luke Rowe, Sivakov, Cameron Worth, who they've just signed, who we'll get to in a minute. And they just tried to put everyone in the gutter again, split the peloton. Caleb Ewan was at the front, so he was okay. But then they got a split, but it looks like it's come back together now. And since they've come out of that crosswind section, it's relaxed again. The break actually went down to like 8 seconds, and I was worried I was going to miss being able to shout out Elliot and Carter Turnbull in the break, but the break's gone out again from 10 seconds to a minute as the peloton has basically let them go. Luan Yan says, is the TIS stream actually live? I'm not sure if it is live. We got some F's in the chat, thank you. So I'm on an ad break right now, so I can't give you an exact time gap. Generally, I'm about, Besic, the problem with the ads is it's actually like a live broadcast. It's not like an overlay onto the footage. It's the actual 7 broadcast that I'm watching instead of on a television. I'm watching it on my computer. So there's really like ad block. There's no way to avoid the ads, unfortunately. I'm not sure if TIS would be able to, whether I'd avoid the ads anyway. 4KB says, cracks open a Guinness. Got my mug here. Cracks open a Guinness. Has anyone been talking about Landa? Glad he's okay. If no one saw Mikel Landa, who's moved over to Bahrain Merida from Movistar, or Bahrain McLaren, sorry. He was involved in a crash, I think last night, my time last night. And I think he got rear-ended in a hit and run maybe, but he was hospitalised, but seems to be okay. So thankfully Mikel Landa's okay. If you haven't seen, well, you probably wouldn't have because there wasn't video coverage of it. Yesterday in the women's Cadel Evans road race, there was a really, really bad crash, high-speed crash. And yeah, there were like 20 riders went down. It was unfortunate. The Chew Dude says, is there any way to fix audio and video and audio delay from your stream? Is my mouth delayed again? It shouldn't be. I thought I'd fix that. Let's see, that should be pretty much fixed. I didn't think that was an issue no more. Anyway, so apparently a few riders were hospitalised after the crash in the Cadel Evans women's road race yesterday. You'll note that Alex Perrin, very timely, says, "Bro, hype the podcast." What did you guys think? What did you think of the podcast with Leanna Lippert? By the way, let's transition back. Mainstream media. I was on the Leanna Lippert hype train. Just remember, when Leanna Lippert becomes the next big thing, Lanterne saw that first. And I got that podcast first. They had her on the broadcast today speaking with Phil Liggett and Matt Keenan. Unfortunately, Phil Liggett decided to speak to Leanna Lippert like she was a 10-year-old, which wasn't a massive fan of, but I think she's pretty personable, and I think she'll be good on radio and TV as well. I think after cycling, whether in German or English, she's I think pretty personable and likable, so, and has good insights as well. But yeah, I thought the podcast was pretty good, and I thought her win yesterday was good. She was saying today again on 7, they asked her the same questions. They asked her, I reckon someone's seen my video or podcast. But anyway, I think they asked her about the Olympics road race, whether she's going to be in the team. She's obviously has to be in the team now for Germany. I didn't realise Leah Kirkman's actually not German, she's Canadian. That was a mistake on my part. But yeah, Alex Perrin says, likes the... Okay, I'm about to try and give you a timestamp now. Just came back from an ad break, 60.5 kilometres to go for me, 1 minute and 17 the gap is from the peloton to the break of Carter Turnbull and Elliot Schultz. Right now, 60.4 kilometres to go as they're... So the gap has extended to these two guys. I'm still figuring out, if anyone's a genius, engineer, mathematician, whatever, anyone can figure out a way for me to tell people so they can pause their coverage to sync up with my coverage, what the best way to do that is, or if people want to comment in the chat, if they do figure it out themselves, comment how many seconds they've noticed, or minute, or however long it is, and then I will put that in the description and in the chat saying, wait, pause your coverage by X amount of seconds. But they're going up a steep climb now. Is this the first descent of Chalambra? Yes, it is. This is the first descent of Chalambra. If you're watching the women's live stream yesterday, you will have seen... Sorry, let me transition you back. If you watched the women's live stream yesterday, you'll know they did, I think, 1 or 2 climbs of Chalambra, but it was wet, so maybe even more difficult. But this is a very steep climb, and 60 k's to go exactly on the dot. 1 minute 17 gap from the peloton. Bora Hansgrohe on the left-hand side. Jay McCarthy, I think, is a former winner of this race for Bora Hansgrohe, but he had a bad crash in the Tour Down Under. I'm not sure how he's recovered from that. He looked okay in Torquay on Thursday. Carter Turnbull is currently setting the pace with Elliot Schultz behind him for Quartermenta Real Estate in the break. But I was talking to Elliot, and this is what we were trying to discuss, read his chainring selection, because as you can see, it's really hard. Cadel Evans is really one of those really hard races to choose correct chain rings, because it's a World Tour race, his first World Tour one-day race, I think, although the Torquay race on Thursday was low-key pretty hard according to a lot of people. And he was like, do I put on the 55 because I'm worried about, tailwind / cross tailwind. If they're splitting it, it'd be easier to have a 55. But then because there's so many rolling climbs on this, it'd be easier to cross chain in the 53, 53.25, 53.28. But I think he's gone with the 55.42, and on the Chalambra climb, he's just going to switch to the 42 in the climb, which he's in the small chain ring right now, spinning. But I think what I did was we calculated, we went to the steepest 200 meters of the Chalambra climb, calculated the watts he'd need to be doing on that climb to basically not be getting completely dropped, and the speed he'd be going if he did those watts. And there's an attack out of the main peloton. Who is this? For Education First, and an Asia Douala Mondial rider. Looks like, if I can get to the start list, looks like a Hugh Woods lookalike, but I don't think either of them are riding this race. Jens Kukalera, maybe? Or Jonas Rouge? I know that Jonas Rouge has been mixing it up, or he's got a goatee chin strap beard in the AG2R rider. Interesting. 59.3 k's to go. They just went past the 200 meters to go to the con banner on the Chalambra climb. And I think we figured out, oh, well, if he has to do 18 kilometers an hour, then a 42 in a chain ring and a 28 chain ring, he'll be able to spin anyway, although he's out of the saddle right now, and I think he's just mixing up the Carter Turnbull. Carter's kind of putting a bit of time into Elliott right now, and he should wait. I mean, the success of this break or how far they can go together really depends on them sticking together. But I think Carter's now seen that he's dropped Elliott, and he'll wait up a little bit. They'll obviously stick together as their teammates over this climb. What do we think is going to happen? Who do you think? Comment down below who you think is going to win this race. I think it will be a Giacomo Nizzolo type. I'm not sure Caleb Ewan is going to be able to stay with, they've already stringing it out at this climb, and you can see it's pretty steep. It's a pretty steep climb, Chalambra. It's 1.2 k's at 8.3%, but that doesn't really indicate or show how actually, steep it is. It gets steeper, and there's really, really steep parts at the end. And I'm not sure Caleb's going to be able to stay with the main group. So Carter Turnbull's, has he gone out on his own? He's 1 minute and 6 seconds ahead of the peloton, which is 58.7 kilometers behind. Now Elliott's just behind him. So they've got a steep downhill right now off the back of Chalambra, out of Geelong sort of area. This is where the 55 comes in handy. But Elliott's in fine form. He rode for AG Tour under 23s, I think, last year in 2019. Not sure if he's riding Herald Sun Tour. Beetlejuice Green. Beetlejuice Green is Elliott riding Sun Tour or not? And there's a split in the peloton right now. There's a split that's happened. That Education First rider's gone clear. 4 riders. There's a Mitchelton Scott guy there. I think Cadel, for a Cadel Evans road race, the type of rider, Jay McCarthy, who else? Caden Groves could do pretty well as well. I think Caden Groves could go pretty well. Apparently Elliott's not riding Sun Tour. 57.9 k's to go, 57.8 k's to go. Both getting in the aero tuck, super tuck position. Has everyone been watching this race in full? That he got to make the Lanterne Rouge live stream. Now let's try and figure out, there's a breakaway with a DeKerny Quickstep rider, Mitchelton Scott rider, looks tall, it's not Caden Groves, it might be, looks like a Hepburn Durbridge type body, and Education First and Asia to Le Mondial rider. Pro Cycling Stats hasn't refreshed to show who is actually in that break, unfortunately, but the gap is coming down even on the descent. 57 k's to go, 53 second gap from Turnbull and Schultz, 56.9 k's to go rather, gap to the peloton, but that's to the guys chasing. LR, are you able to cut the race distance from the official broadcast and overlay it into your broadcast? May assist in stream matching. That's a good idea, Message. Let me do that. I'll try and do that. Bear with me. That may help you guys a fair bit. I'll have to switch screen because I can't show. All right, let me try and figure that out for you. I may not be able to. That break's been brought back, but Bora Hansgrohe, and there's actually a full split. There seems to be a full split, but no one's really pedaling. There doesn't seem to be that much motivation to take it up. There's been a split of the guys that made it over the front of the climb, and Caleb Ewan's not in that group, and that's on the first ascent of Chalambra. So, what are you? You are a window, okay. Yeah, I'm not sure there'll be. Okay, window capture. Okay, yep, I think I might be on here. I think we might be on. How do you do that? I'm just trying to figure out how to cut stuff in. Yep, alright. We're going to get an exact readout from my broadcast. Whoever had that idea, you're a genius, and you may make these streams a lot more relevant. Alright. Thank you for bearing with me, everyone. It's just hard to do. I'm using Open Broadcaster software and trying to figure out how to do this at the same time is pretty difficult. But we've now got it. Oh, that's... Whoever said that, someone super chat that guy. If you super chat, I'll give you the money because you now made... You're a genius. We now have the exact kilometers to go. Hopefully this doesn't mean I get copyright issues. I just got to take that out. All right. I just got to make sure I can see your live chat as well. Man. Here we go. So how does that help with you? How does that help with you guys syncing up? I think that should help you a fair bit. 55.4 Ks to go. I mean, I probably wouldn't do this for the Tour de France. Probably wouldn't do it for the Tour de France, do that sort of thing, but Cadel Evans Great Ocean Road Race with Channel 7 doing it. I mean, Channel 7 should be paying me for making their race more relevant. Although, where is it? Oh, we got some... So Besic, thank you. All good, gentlemen. We fixed it. 55.1 Ks to go. Does that make your life easier? Odell Beckham loves the statistics. Tom Mallard, cheers, beers. Cheers to you. Have some water, not even sparkling water. Just judging for what are we thinking from that first climb? I mean, I don't think Caleb's going to be able to get over that climb, man. I don't think he'll be able to. But it'd be awesome, yeah. As Beetlejuice Green just said, if the pros can get across to the break, help Elliott and Carter Turnbull, that'd be awesome. Although I think Elliott is running a little bit out of gas, but this is not looking like it's going to be setting up for a sprint from a pure sprinter like Bennett and Caleb Ewan. They already on the first ascent of Chalumbra made it pretty hard, although there's not great cohesion in this breakaway group. The Trek rider is not really wanting to pull his turn, and the Education First rider's gone out on his own. I still don't know who that is, whether it's Jonas Ruch or not. But I think a few guys are sensing that the break is going to get brought back, and they're trying to bridge across early, sooner rather than later. Is this an Israel Startup Nation rider's gone with them? If you've been watching Velta a San Juan, you'll have seen that Rudy Barbier. Who is Rudy Barbier? He is riding really well in Velta a San Juan. If you're watching the live chat, don't want to... You know that I don't like to give myself too much credit, but I did say in the GCN live chat that Rudy Barbier was going to podium today's stage again, and he did podium. He came third in a very strange podium again. Besic, welcome to Lanterne Squad, BSEIC. Welcome to the Lanterne Rouge Squad, joining channel membership. Appreciate the support. It's only $3, so if you ever want to support the channel, that's the way you get it. Obviously, you come, there's a private Discord chat, which I actually got to be talking in right now. I'll better tell them I'm streaming right now. And that's a way for me to notify you that, it's just a beta. Instead of, because I get hundreds. I get quite a lot of Instagram messages nowadays because I'm a pretty big deal. And yeah, the Discord chat with members, that'll just be an easier way to talk to everyone, and that's just a way to have a community in an instant messaging platform. I think the Discord chat's gonna be really good, especially when it's like Tour de France time. It's going to be awesome. I had one last year with some OG subs. It was sick. But yeah, join the Discord chat if you want to. Rudy Barbier, TCR Galaxy. I didn't know who he was either, to be honest. And he's just been doing really well. He won the first stage of Vuelta a San Juan, that really sketchy finish, when he came over the top of Gaviria, Hodeg, and Sagan. But he's just looking like a really good, versatile sprinter. Chris Jackson says, this race profile reminds me of some of the stages that allow Sivakov to win Tour de Polonia. These things seem to suit him. I tend to agree. Like Sivakov, I was talking to Beetlejuice Green this morning at coffee, and Sivakov doesn't look the same as, say, Chris Free. He looks like a bigger dude, just a bigger frame, more filled out. He does big Ks, Pavel Sivakov. Obviously won Tour de Polonia last year, one of the talents for Team Ineos, one of the young guys, a Russian rider. Speaks French though, I think he's Franco-Russian. Hi, Aaron Moffat. But if you're watching Race Torquay on Thursday, not a particularly interesting race, except for the end, but Race Torquay on Thursday, he actually attacked very late and got a bit of a gap, but no one really assisted him, and it got brought back. But he's looking in these crosswind rolly stages with these power climbs. He looks to be a pretty good rider. It's 51.7 Ks to go, as you know. 27-second gap to the peloton. Still Turnbull and Schultz, although I must say Turnbull's doing quite a lot of the work now. Very high socks, although it is easing up on the front of the peloton again. So I think what we're seeing right now is, yeah, Mads Pedersen's at the front. Trek Segafredo are quite prominent. I can see 4 Trek Segafredo riders plus Mads Pedersen. Who are they riding for in the sprint? I need to check Pro Cycling Stats start list. I think Bora Hansgrohe are riding for Jay McCarthy, or Martin Lars, if Martin Lars is riding. Let me have a look at the start list. Eric Basker, actually no, sorry, I think Bora Hansgrohe are riding for Eric Basker, although Jay has won this race or can win this race, is capable of it. Excuse me 1 minute, just going to pour my coffee. Right, I'm back. Relax. Oh. The best USA live stream site's Alexander Perrin. The best USA live stream site is called ExpressVPN, and you get that VPN and you just watch cycling on GCN Racing when they've got the live streams, and on whenever they're streamed otherwise, or yeah, I don't know what your Twitter France and other options are, but that's your best option, is a VPN. Alexander Perrin also said, call your podium finishes. I'm going to go through the start list in detail in a second now, and want to make sure, try and pick out who I think is going to win. Tiz Cycling should be all right. But yeah, I honestly reckon your best option in America, and I'm going to look into it myself too, is a VPN, because a lot of people, as they come through, they've just finished the first lap of the Geelong circuit. Elliot is looking in the full hurt box right now. That was lap 1. Oh, sorry, they're now on lap 1 of 3 of the Geelong City circuit. Each circuit is 16.6 kilometres long. Carter Turnbull and Elliot Schultz in the break. You should be able to sync up with my stream right now, given I've put on the how many kilometres to go little thing there of the stream I'm watching. But yeah, I'm going to have a look. Taconic Quickstep are controlling things on the front right now. They're riding for Sam Bennett. Obviously, Leon Yuan says, how do you like the 303 and 404 setup? I like it a lot. I think in crosswinds it's normally fine. So 303, 404 is good. I mean, I got those. Those are Zip Firecrest. They're new-ish wheels. They're the newer Zips. They're the old decals, because they were a demo model, and they put the older decals on the demo model to signify that they were a demo model. And I got them for like 1,800 Australian dollars through Zip 303, 404 Firecrest, like the new ones, like the good ones with the newish hubs in middle of 2017. Pretty good price, to be honest. And like if I sold them, they'd probably be worth 1,300 even, given how much I've used them. So yeah, that's what I've found with cycling equipment. It's like all the Apple stuff and the tech stuff I've had to buy. I go with the philosophy of making do with like really, really bottom of the barrel cheap stuff for as long as possible. This applies to life generally. And then when you are ready to upgrade, go big, so that if you do sell it or whatever, if you sell it, you will actually have you'll have lost less money than if you bought like a mid-level kind of shitty thing. And it's also less likely to break. Those Zips are so durable. I've thrashed them. The hubs are good. I haven't thrashed them if you want to buy them. But like, yeah, the spokes are really good, etc. Like, and same with like, I bought a MacBook and a MacBook Air, and I really regret it. I bought it for $1,600, and it's now like, if I upload 4K footage from this new camera, it blows it up basically, and I can't edit on it. So then I was like, well, I'm going to make sure the next MacBook Pro I get is, Oh, better transition off that. I better make sure the next MacBook Pro I get is like off chops good. And I did that. But yeah, I don't know how I got onto this tangent. Beetlejuice Green says the gap has gone out again. That is correct. If we're looking at here, they're saying the gap is 46 to 47 seconds to Carter Turnbull and Elliot Schultz. Ian Hearn, welcome to the live chat. Ian Hearn may be the first subscriber to the Lanterne Rouge channel. Maybe the first subscriber. Chris Jackson says the KM part has moved. No, it's actually an ad, so I've had to go off that screen until the ads finish. I don't want the FBI coming through my door. I do not want the FBI coming through my door and saying you're breaching copyright. I'm not just trying to have the exact kilometer to go about it. And you know, I'm a traffic funnel onto Channel 7. If you want to watch this, get a VPN and go to Channel 7's website, 7+. It's the easiest, and you should get a VPN anyway, just so you don't get sent to Guantanamo Bay for the things you look at on the internet. So get a VPN. I mean, I don't know how I'm not sponsored by ExpressVPN. Yeah, I say it every time. Get a VPN and you can watch the races for free. For example, I just said it, Running Bird. For example, the Colombian National Championships, I mean, you use a VPN and watch that. You can't watch, it's on their state TV. I'll use a VPN, watch the Colombian National Championships, although it's like 2 in the morning. Not sure if there'll be a live stream for that. But if anyone wants to let me know what happens in the National Championships, that'll be good. I'll obviously be trying to react to and doing review videos of the Tour Colombia race, which I can't wait for. Jesus, that's hot. But they're coming up to they're about 3 kilometers away, 4 kilometers away from the start of the second ascent of the Chalambra climb, 1.2 Ks at 8.3%. As you may be aware, the comm on that is held by Mike Woods, I think from last year, the Education First rider. Well, it's definitely held by Mike Woods. I'm not sure what year he did it. But yeah, I think they're making this race. I think this race has been too difficult for riders like Caleb Ewan and Sam Bennett. I don't see Sam Bennett winning this race. I don't. There's no way. In my mind, I don't think it's happening. I don't think it's happening. I think it's too. I think Carter's now dropped Elliot Schultz. F's in the chat. I want to see F's in the chat for Elliot Schultz. 100 Ks in the breakaway. Lanterne Rouge subscriber and fan. Team bar member Elliot Schultz. I'm writing the F in the chat. Our fallen soldier, 100K break, first World Tour race. We're like, you're going to sharpen the elbows up? No, he's like, fuck it, I'm just going to get in the break. Bestich says, I'm only watching the Channel 7 broadcast because of this stream. 7 will be glad to know this is one of the rare instances I have the misfortune of viewing ads. It's true, like, that's what I've been trying to, I think GCN realized that, you know, when I do a Vuelta a San Juan video, review the Remco crash, and then say, hey everyone, I'll see you in the live chat tomorrow, and then everyone in the live chat, is saying like, hold your horses. Okay. I just gotta make sure here. And then, you know, everyone in the live chat, I reckon I sent like 200 people across that live chat. Or maybe not 200, but a fair few people, you know, let them know that San Juan was on, and then there's more community in the live chat, everyone's talking, etc., etc., and that's like 5-10% of their audience. So, yeah, I think it's all right. Okay, there we go. 45.9 kilometers to go, 36-second gap. I think Elliot's been dropped, unfortunately, but we had all these Fs in the chat, so he'll see those Fs in the chat. Big Fs from him. Kyle Shipton, Chris Schroeder, Santiago Sinestera, John Flynn, Leon Yuan. Double Fs from Santiago Sinestera. Toothy Grin says, any notable abandons? I think Ian Stannard got dropped from when there was the echelons, but I don't know whether he's got back on, seeing as they came back together. Demil IDK says, Lanterne Rouge, should I get an alloy frame or a carbon frame for my first road bike? I would say get a I don't know. It depends on your budget, really. It really depends on your budget, what you get. Okay, I'm just trying to make sure I get the distance to go banner. Yeah, Besic had the idea that their distance to go graphic, including that, would let you know how many Ks is left. I can, hold on. There you go. All right, sorry for all the transitions. Just trying to make sure, once we've got the Tour de France, once it's classics, we'll have this locked down. I'm grateful for all of you bearing with me during these teething pains, tech-wise, live stream-wise. We nearly got 100 people in the live stream right now when Europe's asleep, America's asleep, I'm asleep, so I got my coffee. Yeah, Dimil IDK, depends what frames. I'd rather that's an aluminium frame, that BMC, and I refuse. Maybe you think I'm delusional, but I'm waiting for a bike brand to just give me a bike instead of buying an expensive bike, because I'm happy with the BMC alloy bike. I spent more on the wheels than the bike, just about. I'd rather have good gearing, and pretty much. Dabba Stet says, do you think Impey has chances? Yeah, for sure. Daryl Impey, I'd expect him to get at least top 10, probably, and they'd be hoping for better than top 10. But just a brief check-in with the race. Carter Turnbull's gone clear. Elliot Schultz has dropped back now. Carter Turnbull riding a Specialized with SRAM AXS. Is it 12 speed? Disc brake bike for the Quartamenta real estate team. He's 44 seconds ahead of the peloton, 44.3 kilometers left to go. Cofidis have come to the front now. They're riding obviously for Elia Viviani, who I think has had a disappointing start to the 2020 season. What do you think? Roland Shoemaker says, haha, it's like 7:30 in the evening in America. At least the good parts. Actually, yeah, it's late. It's like 10:30 in New York, 7:30 in LA. America's still awake. But I don't think most people don't know that Cadel Evans is on right now. Who else said? Chris Schroeder says, what do you think of what are your thoughts on the Ineos signing of Cameron Worth? Well, it's basically he's just replacing Vasil Kirienka. So Kirienka, the Belarusian rider, everyone knows pretty much is a TT beast, and his job on Ineos, they're now coming up to the Chalambra climb right now, by the way, 43.8 Ks to go. We're really going to see, is Caleb Ewan going to get shelled again? Is the break actually going to get brought back? Cofidis are really at the front. I can't see if Viviani's actually on the end of his train. But Kirienka was the guy who brought brakes back, set tempo in the Tour de France, did all that sort of thing, the hard work on the front at 380, 400 watts for, half an hour for protecting Chris Froome, controlling the race. And he's just retired with a heart issue. The heart issue. He just retired. And Cameron Worth, if you don't know, Cameron Worth, he was a professional cyclist. And they're on the steep part of the Chalambra climb coming up right now. But Cameron Worth was a professional cyclist, moved over to triathlon. He's actually 36 years old. But his job is not to have snap, it's to have mega endurance. And he has the Ironman world record for the bike leg. So endurance he has in spades. And he's been, for the last several years, Chris Froome and Geraint Thomas he's been their training partners in the off-season, Cameron Worth. Particularly in southeast Queensland, when Chris Froome's been here, he's trained with Cameron Worth on the Sunshine Coast, I think, maybe. And yeah, he's just a workhorse guy. That's what his role, and that's what his role on Ineos is going to be. Okay, so Barrow and McLaren got one rider on the left-hand side. Cofidis have got three. Can't see Viviani. Trek Segafredo have a couple of riders at the front. I think they'll be... Carter Turnbull's actually keeping this gap pretty constant at 44 seconds to the peloton, 43 seconds. They're not bringing it back too quickly. His cadence is still really, really good on the steep part of the Chalambra climb. You can see the kids running to the side of him. It probably shows how steep this gradient is, but his form's still looking really good. I think he's getting close to the limit now. What do we think of the longer aero gloves and aero socks for the Oz kit? I think they're pretty aesthetic. But yeah, he's doing really well. But Froome and Worth, Worth is going to be the workhorse. They've agreed, if you read the Ineos statement, Worth he's still going to be doing the Ironman Championships in October at the end of the year. So they've pretty much signed him for like 6-7 months for the main season, to basically be a super domestique for Ineos. I think it's a pretty good signing. I don't know how much they're paying him. Probably have to be a little bit. But he's already been part of their setup and training with them for ages. So it's not like a new signing really. They all know him pretty well, and he's already on a Pinarello. I'm pretty sure he's coached by. Is he coached by Kerrison? Tim Kerrison? I feel like he's coached by one of the Ineos coaches anyway. So it's a pretty sensible move, really, if that's what he wants to do. I'm just checking on my private Discord right now to see if there's any chat in the Discord. Although I should probably just talk in the Discord on... it's easy to do on my phone. If you want to join the Discord, channel membership's available. No pressure, but if you want to join the private chat in the Discord, that's where it is, through channel membership. And I put out a question. If you saw the finish to the Vuelta a San Juan stage this morning, where Zdeněk Stybar did a last kilometer attack, and he won the stage, a last kilometer attack on this sort of motor circuit, professional like F1 circuit in Argentina, and he gapped the UAE lead out for Gaviria. Molano, Recese were leading up for Gaviria, and Toothy Grin just came in the live chat with some pretty good input as Carter Turnbull summits Chalambra 50 seconds ahead of the peloton with 42.5 to go. He says, Toothy Grin says, Worth was an Olympic rower, got injured and was riding bikes to stay fit, podiumed in the Aussie Time Trial Championships and then just gave up rowing. And that seems to be a pretty common occurrence. A lot of rowers who get injured or just realise that rowing as a sport pretty much sucks, give it away and become really, really good cyclists. I'm just looking at the front of the pillow now. See, there's Education First and well represented again. Ineos have got 3 riders on the right-hand side. Trek Guy's having a dig in the middle. I wonder if this will split again. I can't see. There's a Quartamenta real estate guy. Is that Nick White, the Quartamenta real estate rider, who's been very prominent at the front, especially during the crosswind action when Ineos came to the front? That gap does look still like a genuine 45-second gap to Carter Turnbull. But seeing as you guys are all obviously pretty big fans of the channel, I'll be interested to hear your thoughts on what would you like me to do in these live streams. Do you like the format that I'm currently doing right now, where I sort of just talk really about what's going on in cycling at the moment and the race, particularly when we're not in the finale right now? So I'm not just going to relay what the commentary would be saying to you anyway. Do you like the setup on the screen? Well, what would you like to see anything differently, or are you happy with it at the moment? I'm conscious that this is the Cadel Evans race. It's not at a great time for Europe, particularly, and later in America, and it's a Saturday night where you guys are. But so there'll be more people in the chat, I think, during Classics and the Grand Tours, obviously. But yeah, I want to get your feedback while we're still in the growth phase and testing it out, because I actually really enjoy them. I really, really enjoy these live streams and the sort of direct communication with everybody. I think it's really great. Thank you, Evolution, tuning into your live stream for the first time from Miami, Florida. Great job. Thank you. Quinton Chiapparino says, I was a paddler before cycling, got injured, then fell in love with cycling. Not Australian time trial podium, but thinking of winning Virgin Island National TT. Well, you did win Virgin Island National TT. Well done, Quinton. It's 10:30 p.m. on the east coast of USA, I think. Leon Yuan says, do a few videos on Jakob Fuglsang. Would love to see that. I think I might do... The problem... See, I've been wanting to do a video on Jakob Fuglsang for ages, right? The problem with Jakob Fuglsang is before I have issues using race footage from sort of 2018 onwards, and Jakob Fuglsang barely won any races before 2018. He had lots of like top 5s in Liège or top 10 in Liège and top 10 in GC in Grand Tour races, but I can't. It's hard to make a video where it's like, look at this guy getting consistent top tens. Like that's hard to develop a narrative around. Whereas riders that like Sagan wins a lot of races, Valverde wins races. It's easier to do a video on a person that's won a race or analysing a race victory. That's always the problem I found with Jakob Fuglsang. Whoa, look how steep this climb is. This is a second climb. Sort of after the Chilambra climb, there's another really steep climb, it seems. That looks, I mean, usually camera angles, I'm not sure if they're on the motorbike there moving it around, but usually with the camera angles, they don't make it seem as steep as it is. Workshop in the first says, where is the stream available in the USA? I don't know. You need to use a VPN to just watch on 7+ is the easiest option, I think. And the same break is going again, trying to go again on this second steep climb. Does anyone know what this climb? This is the Queen's Park Road into Melville Avenue. It's 900 meters, average gradient of 11%, but with a 20% kicker. And because they're coming in off the left-hand road and losing speed, it's the perfect place to attack. And this group of 4, it seems to be exactly the same guys who tried to go on the first lap or the first climb of Chilambra. Israel Startup Nation, Education First, Trek Segafredo, and Ajudua Le Mondial. The motorbikes are behind them. These guys are going pretty quickly, and I think they're going to catch Carter fairly shortly. 17 seconds. The gap is coming down very, very quickly. Let's see what they're saying. Who's in this break? Pro Cycling Stats are about to tell us who's in this break, but Carter Turnbull's going to get caught pretty shortly. I think they're moving the motorbikes out from between him and that attack, and they've got him in their sights. He's looking back and sees them now. An FDJ rider has joined them on their new, supposedly Aero Lapierre disc brake bikes. We'll see whether they're, see how good those bikes are. Quinton Chaparino says, Seb Kuss, the next climbing great, American climbing great. Yeah, I think there seems to be a lot of hype about Quinn Simmons and, Alex Howes. The ratio of Alex Howes, social media presence and promotion of him in articles and discussion about Alex Howes relative to his road success and vice versa, Seb Kuss, who won a really hard stage in Vuelta doing big numbers, kind of blows my mind. But yeah, that's just the Education First marketing beast, I guess. I think, didn't Education First have like an Instagram poll where they compared vote which was the better win, Alex Howes National Championship or Bettiol's Flanders win, and the Alex Howes one got more votes, and I was like, what the fuck are people watching? Anyway, none of the Lanterne Rouge subs would have said that, but there's actually a full break now. There's a actual breakaway with FDJ, Israel Startup Nation, Education First. Let me read their numbers. 105, 123. Hold on. Oh, there's they got no numbers on the Pro Cycling Stats start list, so that doesn't really help me too much either. Okay, as I said, it's Jonas Ruch for Education First. He's been very aggressive recently. Alexander Cataford, the Canadian, for Israel Startup Nation. Fabian Leinard for FDJ, the Swiss rider. I'm not sure who the Ajudua Le Mondial rider is. Quarterment, the real estate rider, is getting dropped out the back. I'm not sure if I don't think that's Elliot. I'm not sure if Elliot's race is done or not. I have to see. But 36.9 Ks to go. I'm not sure how far away this gap is. There's a Trek Segafredo rider, number 77. But there's no, as I said, there's no, unfortunately, numbers on Pro Cycling Stats for me to be able to see which rider is which. But I don't know. It's Jeffrey Bouchard. Jeffrey Bouchard, pretty good rider, French rider for Asia Tour. Kiel Ragnan, the American, for Trek Segafredo. And obviously Carter Turnbull's going to take this opportunity gladly to sit on and... oh, I better hold on. Oh. Hold your horses. Okay, oh, it's back. Maybe I'll get rid of that Peloton thing. There we go. I'll just have that. I'll just put that there for you. Do not want to anger the gods at Channel 7. But there we go. I'll just have just to make it easier, I'll just have how many kilometers are left for you guys to synchronize your footage. Let me go back to the live stream chat, wherever you are. Okay. Sorry, I missed out. I've been ranting, missed out on what you guys were saying. Alfredo says, looking forward to seeing Cameron Worth race, Tim Ineos' new signing. Yeah, I mentioned him just before. Think he'll be a pretty valuable domestique for them, particularly in light of Vasil Kirienka retiring, and he's going to perform the same function as Vasil Kirienka. Alexander Perrin suggests you could do lead-ups to the Grand Tours this year with videos covering individual teams, or maybe do that for the whole season, a recap of each one at the end of the season. I think I'll do previews of Grand Tour races, and maybe some of the monuments. I think I'll do preview videos. Plain Bagel says Steep Hill has numbers. Thank you, Plain Bagel. Thank you. Make my life easier. See, this is why the Lanterne Rouge community makes my life just a lot easier. Start list. Okay, there's the numbers. Thank you. Bestich says likelihood of Carter going on. Probably not. Probably not going to hang on. W. Good says, can you do a video clarifying your position on cooperating in a break? I thought I saw an article lately that was saying cooperation usually results in higher placings when done right. Thanks, LR. Well, it depends. It depends. And if you join channel membership, you can just suggest videos in the Discord as they come to your mind. But it really depends on who you're in the break with. If you're in a break with Peter Sagan and there's 1K left and you got a 10-minute gap and it's just you and Sagan, you probably shouldn't cooperate. But conversely, Turnbull and Schultz have to work. It made sense for them to cooperate. It really depends. Roland Shoemaker says Flanders win versus top 10 in an amateur gravel race. Education First and Rafa probably think that the gravel race is more important. But this gap they seem to have a 5-second gap in the Geelong circuit, 33.6 Ks to go. We've got 2 laps left. 2 laps? A Cadel Evans road race, a break of 6. Carter Turnbull's part of that break. He's been on his own with Elliot Schultz all day. He's just going to hang on the back of these guys. Jeffrey Bouchard for AG2R, Leinart for FDJ, Jonas Ruch for Education First. Who was the Trek rider? He's the American rider. Kiel Reinen. Alexander Catterford for Israel Startup Nation. So we got a mixture of nations here. Germany, America, France, Switzerland, Canada, and Australia. I think these guys are going to get cooked on the next Chalumbra climb, and I think I don't know if we're going to see any big fireworks, but Cofidis seems to be doing a fair bit of work on the front as well. Mitchelton Scott, is this a Simon Yates? Simon Yates is riding, is he not? Yeah, Simon Yates and Darryl Impey are riding. Didn't Simon Yates, did he do, who did well in Torquay Road Race, or that hard stage 5 of the Tour Down Under? Was it Yates, I think? Did a bit better than Impey? Caden Groves is not riding in this race, but I'm going to go for some predictions right now. Let's go for some predictions. Having a look. I think Simon Geschke will get top 5. The German for CCC. Simon Geschke. I think Giacomo Nizzolo will podium. I think Darryl Impey will come top 5. I don't know who will win, but I don't think Caleb Ewan is going to win, and I don't think Sam Bennett is going to win. I think it's been too hard for them. But those are the two guys I'm looking at. The three guys: Geschke, Nizzolo, and Impey, with Jay McCarthy and Eric Basker also for Bora Hansgrohe I like the look of. Simone Consoni Simone Consoni for Cofidis I'd almost take over Viviani, seriously, in this sort of race. I don't know if this is too hard for Andrea Van Dram for Agiduale Mondiale, the Italian rider. He was pretty good in the sprints in Tour Down Under. But I think, they're my picks. I think it's going to be too hard for maybe a Thomas de Gendt. The climb might be a little bit too difficult for him. But my main pick, I think, would be Nizzolo to win. Giacomo Nizzolo. I think Robbie McEwen's also on board with that. He thinks Nizzolo is going to do pretty well as well. He won a similar sort of hard stage in the Tour Down Under. Yeah, I really like him for this race. Evolution says Mads Pedersen podium. Nope. I think the climb on the last lap is going to be too hard, too steep for him. Like, just a bit too steep, especially with the second steep climb straight afterwards, is going to make it too difficult for him. That's just my take on it. But 31Ks to go, 16 seconds gap. Comment in the live chat who you think is going to win. Besic says the breakaway is still hammering. Surely this can't be maintained to the end. Jared Rawkin says Nathan Haas. Who's he right? Nathan Haas. I'm having a complete brain blank. I know Nathan Haas has been doing... Oh, he rides the Cofidis, yeah. So Nathan Haas, obviously, Nathan Haas did really well. He rode really strong with Jay McCarthy and co at the Australian National Championships, which is a similar, it's a rolly hard course, and he did really well at that. Or was riding really strong, rather, in that. Brad Simple says, Lanterne Rouge e-riding Tour de Brisbane. Probably not. I don't really like paying to do things, to be honest. I don't like paying to ride my bike. So, probably not. Toothy Grin says, Nizzolo got a pretty epic gap open behind him by a teammate in that win. He did, by, I think it was Gibbons, the South African rider. He got that gap open and helped him, but he still had to be there. He's still at the front, ready to contest it behind Morkov. Would he have probably won anyway? Yeah, Bennett came from behind pretty quick, but I think Bennett's not going to be there in the finish. I think it'll be too hard for him. Anyway, so... Would Nathan Haas having a flyer on the last climb? That's what I think will happen. I think there'll be like a break, well, not a break, but an attack from riders like Nathan Haas, not Giacomo Nizzolo. He'll be trying to hang on. Haas, Impey, and Simon Geschke. And that's, I think they'll be sort of really defining the race on the last couple of hard climbs. Thomas Nowak says, is there not so legal TV coverage? No, there's legal TV coverage. Just get a VPN and watch it on 7+ live stream. I'm watching a free live stream, but it's because I'm geographically located in Australia. Daniel Kelly says, I'm going to cheer for the single Canada flag I see on the list. Hold on. Sorry, just texting me, mother. We'll sort myself out for dinner. So for Tour de France, things like that, maybe I'll be able to sort out me going to Europe, not to go to the Tour de France, but just so I can actually stream not at 2 a.m. and have a better setup than behind me. Although I'm going to start green screening so that we can get those new awesome graphics behind me, which I think will look cool. But anyway, going to go to Tour de France. Who would you like to see in the world of cycling sit on the couch next to me for cameos during staged live stream commentaries? Who do we actually think? Because what I've quickly realised is often you think you want access to professionals and the riders and stuff. Often they're not that actually interesting. Like, you want to watch them ride, but often they're not that interesting to listen to. And they're, even if they are funny, interesting people, then prevented by, for whatever reason, from saying what's actually on their mind for sponsorship, whatever reasons, unfortunately. So, yeah, who would actually be interesting to sit on the couch? Jack Jamieson says Alex Dowsett would be Ripper. Alexander Perrin says, make your default green screen the background you have right now. Yeah, I think there's kind of a charm to having like just a really trash background, even though I've got an expensive camera right now. Lucas Kiashvili says Eurosport is streaming many bike races for just like €5 per month. Honestly, I think Eurosport's the best. They have the best coverage for bike racing. So that if you're able to get a Eurosport account, that's what I would do. Daniel Kelly says Michael Woods would be a good interview. Dan Golding says 447 WTF. I don't know what happened at 447. Matthew Harrelson says Lawrence Tendam. He's recently retired. Maybe Chris Schroeder, Ted King for a cameo. The old American rider. 4KB says also, who else is happy to see Giacomo Nizzolo actually being supported as a rider finally? I agree. The Chudu says Junior rider. Maybe. Dan Golding, why am I here? I don't know. Why are any of us here? Besic says, keen for intra-race on-saddle interviews with the pros. Have a pedal. Maybe I'll just get on the race. Leon Yuan says, the Italian guy in Eurosport's my favorite announcer. Do you mean Juan Antonio Fletcher? The Spanish rider. Ben Jowett says, apparently Foxtel are ditching their rights to Eurosport this year. Yeah. So that's a big concern to me, is that I don't know how I'm going to watch cycling races because Eurosport are on our like cable package in Australia, but they're getting binned. Edwin B says Taylor Finney, get him to make some artistic backgrounds. I couldn't think of anything worse than having the Education First hipster Illuminati. I wouldn't be able to do it, sorry. But we're now coming up to the last we're now coming up to the last 27 kilometers to go. 6 seconds is the gap. Hold on. Transition you back. So this break of Jonas Ruch, Bouchard, and Jonas Ruch has gone off on his own, the Education First rider. He's broken away. He saw the writing on the wall. And often you'll see when the break's getting brought back, particularly on a climb like this, people will attack from the peloton, and that's just happened right now, and attacks come out of the peloton before the break's even been caught. This is the third and penultimate ascent of the Chalambra climb, a really steep, suburban climb, and in the sort of suburbs of Geelong. It's not got a consistent gradient. It's 1.2 k's long, 8.3% average, but much steeper in certain sections. And Ruch, the German, has gone on his own. Alexander Perrin says, get yourself inside some team cars and vlog team coaching, the thing you question most, lol. Well, I'm going to actually be doing that with the La Familia Jumbo Visma documentary. They've given me permission to use the footage in that for a review video. So I'm going to be doing that when I get the time to do that, and because that's not really time dependent. But I thought that was a really interesting documentary, the La Familia Jumbo Visma one. And Mitch and Scott have come to the front of the peloton with, I think, is it Hepburn or Durbridge? I think it's Hepburn or Howson. They're at the front. They're almost a mini split right now. They're really driving on the front. And who's the rider on the front for Mitch and Scott? I can't see where Yates. Impey is seventh wheel. He's got 3 of his teammates in. The break has been caught completely. So Mitchell trying to set up either Impey or Simon Yates. And let's talk a bit of strategy. This is the same as in Milan San Remo, where if you're the teammates of Julian Alaphilippe and Mikhail Kwiatkowski, you don't want to have a really easy race right up until the finish. That makes no sense. You want to have a hardest race as possible. It's hard enough that you don't get dropped. I don't know why my OBS is flickering. I'm not sure if you can see the OBS, whether it's flickering. Why is there F's in the chat? Are there F's in the chat? Oh. What the fuck? What is going on? Go. Internet speed test. Has my internet just crashed? Man, I'm checking my internet. My internet speed should be fine. I don't know what's going on here. Maybe it's because... I think it's another problem with OBS. Yeah, unfortunately, I think it's a problem with my OBS. Am I back? This is frustrating. All right, I'm gonna have to restart the stream. Bear with me. Oh. I'm looking at the stream health right now. I don't want to stop the stream because then everyone will get kicked. This is frustrating because they were really torching it on the last climb. But I got an ads right now anyway. My stream, I got like 80 Mbps download upload. There shouldn't be a problem with, I feel like it might be because I don't know what's going on. It's probably my internet. Let me know. Just comment. Don't be afraid to tell me if there's any issues with it, or whether it's back up working. Tell me when it's back up working, so I'm not just talking to an empty thing. Let me know if it's okay now. But they've strung it out on the downhill right now. 77 kilometers an hour, 24.3 kilometers to go. I'm not sure, my delay is probably a little bit more after those streaming issues. That is Australian internet for you right now. But Mitchell and Scott, they still got 3 guys up front. Darryl Impey, 7th wheel, so nothing's really changed. Elia Viviani in the European Championships jersey seemed to make it over that climb pretty well. Caleb Ewan's there, I believe, 10th wheel. I think that's Caleb Ewan as well. But Viviani, he's there about 9th, 8th wheel. But we're all good now. We're back. Thanks for not leaving. Thankfully, I didn't shut it down. But, geez, that was frustrating. Let me just hold on. Let me get that out. Make sure I can see your live chat. But Mitchell and Scott, there's a big split. So obviously, Mitchell and Scott right now, the problem is, what would you do if you were Mitchell and Scott? You've got a big split. You've got teammates. You've got a gap. But you have Viviani and Caleb Ewan with you. And maybe, although they've shelled Bennett, do you want to keep the pressure on and keep setting the pace? I think you do. I think if I was Mitchell and Scott, I would make sure I would try and make this gap stick, because you have numerical advantage, you have Impey, and you're going to be able to put pressure on Viviani and Caleb Ewan over the next climb. And, they've still got 1 climb of Chilambra. So I would definitely keep the pressure on if I was them. I know that, is Mads Pedersen? Mads Pedersen is still in this group. But yeah, I think they should let Impey and stuff try and keep a gap and then go full gas. For fuck's sake, man. I reckon this is my OBS. But I think they should keep the pressure on. Its YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. As such, viewers will experience buffering. What the fuck? So annoying. Because my 22.4Ks to go, it looks like they've been brought back, that group though. And now the KP... Okay, it seems to be working again. Yeah, if I was Mitchelton, I would keep... But then you got De Koning Quickstep obviously going to try and chase that gap down. Try and keep Sam Bennett in contention. But Mads Pedersen, he hung on to that group. So I think I don't give Mads Pedersen enough respect as a climber, as an ability as a bigger guy to get over steep hills with some of the other guys, because Mads Pedersen, he's hung on with Michelin Scott really driving it up that steep Chalumbra climb. He in the World Championships, which he won, that wasn't a flat course. This group has a 28-second gap, 21.8 kilometers to go, 28-second gap to the main peloton, which De Koning Quickstep is not represented. Pedersen is losing the wheel. Pedersen is struggling to hold the wheel up this false flat. So we're going to see now up this next steep. Are we on the next steep pinch? But I think Pedersen's really struggling. And Michelin Scott are really, they agree with the Lanterne Rouge. Matt White, the DS, he agrees with the Lanterne Rouge. They are trying to drill it right now. They got it in the gutter. 3 riders plus Daryl Impey. This is setting it up perfectly for them. I'm not sure who the Ineos rider is behind them. Let's see who's in this break. It does not saying who's in the break right now on Pro Cycling Stats, unfortunately. But I've got 21.2 Ks to go. And I think even though you got Ewan with you, even though Mads Pedersen is here, I think all things being equal, if you're Michelin Scott, you want a reduced bunch. And I think Jay McCarthy's there as well. Cofidis have Eli Viviani in the group. Caleb Ewan and Pedersen are at the back. I'm not sure who the Bahrain McLaren rider is, but if I was Michelin Scott, I would keep driving it, use up those domestiques, and make sure, and just try and drop them on the last climb. The De Koning Quickstep rider number 15, I'm not sure who he is. I got Chet Steep Hill TV. Dries Stevenens is in this breakaway with, and then who's that? Number 45. Let's see. Dolores Udall. So Roger Kluger's been dropped. I'm not sure if he's been fully dropped or he's trying to bridge across. But Dries Stevenens, he did well in the race Torquay. He was in the breakaway there. He's in the break. 30 seconds. The gap keeps growing. I don't think they're going to get brought back. I think this is it. Michelin Scott this is going to be a full separation. 30 seconds plus the next climb. Michelin Scott have actually 5 riders because Simon Yates is at the back of this group. So they got 3 domestiques on the front, Daryl Impey behind. Then Simon Yates is his mid-pack in this group, and they got the engines to drive it. They want to keep it as a reduced field. I know they got Ewan, Pedersen, and Viviani, but you can isolate them. They've got teammate support, and you don't want to be going to the exact finish with them anyway. Do you think Michelin Scott are doing the right thing? I think Jay McCarthy, he won this race in 2018. He came 3rd in Tour Down Under 2017. Jay McCarthy's here. Viviani and Ewan are trying to move up now that there's a bit of a downhill lull section. They're trying to move up so they don't have to follow as far on the next climb. But this next climb of Chalumbra is going to be pretty difficult for those guys. Number 57 for Michelin Scott is driving it right now. Impey's taking a gel. Ineos have 2 riders. Well, I think that might have been Teo Gegenhardt as well. Caleb Johnston says Caleb doesn't have teammates now. Exactly. Caleb Ewan doesn't have Roger Kluger, doesn't have teammates. It's going to be pretty difficult for him. Why is their output dropping in and out? That's so annoying. Yeah, I think Caleb's going to... He looks good. Ben Jout says Caleb looks really good right now. He looks good, but he's got no teammates. And I think he's going to get dropped on the next climb. And if he gets dropped, he's going to have no teammates to bring him back. Although Simon Yates is surfing the back of this group right now. Just, I think, seeing who's behind. And yeah, he's just surfing the back of this group. W. Good says, can Ewan make it over the last kick? I don't think so. And even if he does, then there's that second pinch, which is going to be really hard for him. And Michelin Scott are swapping off turns pretty hard at the front, and I think this is going to stay away. Analog Noise Lab says, too early in the season for Mads Pedersen. Maybe, but he seems to be in pretty good condition. I think last year he had issues with Oh, Viviani has a teammate here actually, but yeah, last year Mads Pedersen he sort of didn't get his training right. Chris Jackson says the Ineos guys are Pavel Sivakov and Dylan Van Baal. Maybe Sivakov will be a really good one-day man. He's looking really good. But yeah, Sivakov maybe will go for a late flyer. He seems to be really good on these really punchy finishes. He did well in Race Torquay. Let me get some water. Maybe I should do the stream. I should probably do the stream on the really expensive MacBook Pro I got instead of my iMac. But we're now coming on to 1 lap to go. Mitchelton Scott driving it. Oh, hold on. Hold your horses. 1 lap to go. I think this is setting up really well for Daryl Impey. Can Ewan make it up over the last kick? I don't think so. And I know that Ineos have Pavel Sivakov and Dylan Van Baal. They should probably attack. Yeah, they should just try and hang on and then attack on the downhill where they might. You know, Sivakov seems to be really good in that sort of TT fashion. The Bora rider, Jack W, is Jay McCarthy, the winner of this race in 2018. Really good rider. Dries Devenens is the quick step rider. And Simon Yates is on the back of this group. I think just surfing. And obviously in the peloton chasing is NTT. They've missed the gap for their man Giacomo Nizzolo. He's the main man for NTT, and yeah, they're going to try and bring this back. But they do have a lot of riders there, but I'm not sure they'll be able to help too much on the next climb of the Chalumbra. It looks like as well, Team Sunweb have missed the break completely, which is a shame. So Sunweb have missed it. Cofidis have to actually be pretty happy. Like Cofidis have Nathan Haas and Elia Viviani, who are trying to, that's a pretty good, those two are good together. Marco Haller and Pernsteiner for Bahrain McLaren are in the breakaway. Jens Kuklier for Education First. Mitchelton Scott have Howson and Dion Smith setting the pace. I mean, this is really Impey's to lose right now. His team have done exactly everything for him. And he's looking to the left of him, I think, seeing who's behind him. And he's got Van Baal and Sivakov sitting on his wheel, the two Ineos guys. They know who the people to follow are. Nathan Haas is riding in front of Viviani, but Mitchelton Scott are really, they're keeping the pressure on, riding really hard. Especially Howson. Howson does a really good job for Mitchelton Scott, always setting, he always seems to be doing the right things. Let me get hold on. But yeah, I think this break is staying away. I think this is over. And I think I agree with whoever said this is something to do with the encoder on my computer. I think it probably is my encoder. But that doesn't really make sense because I've done this in the past. It's not been an issue. Maybe it's because I've got so many tabs open. But it shouldn't be my computer having these issues. How steep is the climb? Dan Golding says steep. And we're about 3 kilometres from the last descent of the Chalumbra climb. 15 kilometres to go. 26-second gap. Will Mitchelton Scott get brought back? I don't think so. I don't think the chase is going to be... It's only NTT that really seems to be doing it. I didn't see Sunweb helping them. So just NTT alone, I don't think they're going to be able to bring these guys back. Trek, I think, have missed out, really. Trek, I know they got Pedersen up front, but is he going to be able to stay with them on the last climb when they really launch it and then actually contest the finish? I don't think so, but I'll eat my hat if Pedersen wins this. I'll be proven wrong. W. Good says, is this Australia's greatest one-day race? This is real racing. Well, I guess this is Australia's only World Tour one-day race. The gap is not coming down, Robbie says, 26-second gap, and I would expect the gap on the climb to extend because these Mitchelton Scott guys are the guys that launched it to actually create the gap on the climb last lap. So, yeah, I think this gap is not coming down. 14.1 kilometers to go on my stream. Man, I'm G'd up. You seem to be a kilometer behind. I'm just looking. My stream seems to be about a kilometer behind. So if you want to sync it, pause whatever your stream, wait a kilometer, and then you'll be about in sync with me. I can't believe Caleb Ewan. I mean, F's in the chat for Caleb Ewan. What a lad. Making the breakaway. It's pretty impressive from him. FDJ, are FDJ actually going to help out on the front? You'd think they would. Like FDJ, Sunweb, NTT, CCC, Simon Geshka. That's pretty poor positioning from CCC. You would have thought Simon Geshka would have been able to be in the front when Michelin Scott really launched it on the second to last climb of Chilambra. I'm surprised he got caught out, to be honest. He was one of my picks for podium today. But the gap isn't really coming down. It's staying strong at 25 seconds for with Michelin Scott, with 3 domestiques driving it. Dan Golding says, why is Yates sitting on the back? I think he's just there to like mop up, the rest of the bunch and see what's happening in front of him. So that, but I don't really know, to be honest. Maybe he just can't be bothered moving up, and that's where he was. Maybe he just wants to see who else in the bunch and react to attacks that may come from behind the 4 Michelin Scott guys at the front. But we've got Nathan Haas protecting Elia Viviani in the European Championships jersey. You know what's really weird? I always find really weird is how can Richie Port win on Paracombe, win on Willunga, and then it comes to a one-day race and he just never does well in a one-day race. It's so weird. Like, he's never done well in Liège, Bastogne Liège, or Flèche Wallonne. Doesn't make sense to me. Except maybe the kilometers is too it's just harder in a one-day race than in a stage race. Roger Kluger, he was hanging in no man's land between the gap and the breakaway. Roger Kluger's now been fully dropped and he's going all the way back. 12.5 Ks left on my stream. 12.4 Ks left even. So maybe I'm actually only 400 meters behind, it seems. I'm pretty synced up with my pro cycling stats. 12.3 now. The gap is going out a bit to 28 seconds. No one seems to be getting dropped from this group, but we're coming up to the last climb. Farha Amran says, where are you guys watching the stream from? If not from Eurosport TV, get a VPN, go to 7 Plus website and watch the stream for free. Would be my recommendation. What do we think there's going to be a late attack from a Dylan Van Baal, Pavel Sivakov, Dries Devenens, those sort of riders? Do we think there'll be a late Nathan Haas, a late attack from them? Will anyone try and attack Michelin Scott preemptively, or are they just going to try and react to him and just try and follow Impey's wheel and beat him in the finale? If I was, what would I do? If I was sort of a Nathan Haas, Sivakov type, I think there's some crosswinds right to left now, by the way. If I was them, I would do the simple thing, sit on Impey. He's their man. The wild card is Simon Yates, really, but I would just sit on Impey. If you stay with him over the crest, if he gets isolated and Howson and Dion Smith have been spent, I'd then attack Impey before the finish and attack him on the downhill, especially if you're a bigger guy like Sivakov and Van Baal, who have probably bigger mode, better on the flat and downhill. And then with the Impey with no teammates, would be forced to chase on his own. And that would be what I would do. You don't want it to be too easy if you're a Pedersen type, because if it's too easy, then Caleb Ewan comes with you to the finish, or Viviani, you're not going to win. You're not beating those two in the sprint. So you still, but I think Ewan and Viviani are going to get popped right now on this climb, especially because there's a second kicker straight after the climb. 27-second gap, 10.9 Ks to go. It is weird, I must admit, that Simon Yates is sitting right at the back of this group. They get on, look at them all, they're all dumping water, all dumping the last bit of water. They're coming up to the last descent of Chilambra. This is where the race is going to be won or lost. I don't know why Simon Yates is last wheel in this group. Maybe he's having a bad day. But Pedersen is third to last wheel. Pedersen, he's gurning right now. I think Pedersen's going to get dropped. Send through your super chats if you want to support the channel. That'd be awesome. If you like these live streams, send through the super chats if you like them. I really enjoyed this stream so far. This has been really fun. Technical issues aside. I mean, it wouldn't be a live stream without technical issues, but Michelin Scott are doing a really good job for Daryl Impey right now. You could have no complaints. Basically riding a 3-man time trial, Dion Smith, Damien Howson, and I'm not sure who the other rider is for Michelin Scott, with Impey fourth wheel. But yeah, they're doing a fantastic job. Now we're onto the climb proper. If Caleb Ewan hangs on this climb, you know, the world is his oyster, really. Like, if he can hang on on this climb and win this race, then that shows he's a whole new different rider, basically, that can actually get over climbs. Will Milan San Remo open up for him? I don't know. Liège, Bastogne Liège, I don't think so. Damien Howson's spent. Wow, he completely cooked himself. Michael, you know, Kwiatkowski style, if you remember, when Kwiatkowski pulled off after a turn and basically had to stop pedaling. Mads Pedersen, I think, Mads Pedersen's hanging on as much as he can. Dries Stevenens at the back as well, but I think Pedersen's going to get dropped. Simon Yates is gradually moving up. We got one more domestique for Daryl Impey, who's launching it right now, but Impey might get isolated a little bit early, and there's another climb after the Chalambra climb, and it might be Impey on his own, but Yates is moving up right now, really. So that's the plan for Yates, I guess. Maybe he's trying to get the Strava comm, and if you want to get a comm. But the problem with Yates, see what happened with Yates? Yates was at the back of this group. People are losing wheels, and he's having to move up on his own through the wheels. I think Yates is fine. Like, he's got good legs today, but he's in a really weird position at the back of the group. Dylan Van Baal and Pavel Sivakov are lurking. They're doing really well. Viviani is still there. Mads Pedersen has been dropped. Simon Yates is there. Cofidis, Ewan, Nathan Haas is there. And Impey's domestique is finally pulled off. And maybe he's been... This is where, if you were Ineos, you should send a guy up the road right now. Ineos or Nathan Haas. Nathan Haas or Dylan Van Baal should attack. And I think they're thinking about it. Impey's isolated. Simon Yates to the back. And Nathan Haas is set. Yes, Nathan Haas has gone to the front to set the pace. Will that mean that he actually ends up dropping Viviani? I don't know. Dries Stevenens is at the back of this group. And I think the pace has kind of come out of the race. And, yep, Simon Yates' attack. Simon Yates' attack to the left-hand side of the road. Well, there we clearly see that Simon Yates is actually more focused on getting the comm today for Mitchelton Scott rather than the win. He attacks. I'm not sure whether it's Sivakov or Dylan Van Baal chasing him. But this is a perfect 1-2 for Mitchelton Scott. Impey's actually trying to bridge across to him. I don't know what Daryl Impey's doing right now. Maybe he should sit on this Bahrain McLaren rider. If Impey closes this gap and goes around the Bahrain McLaren ride, they'll be fighting in the Mitchelton Scott team bus later. Dries Stevenens looks really good for Deceuninck Quickstep. He was at the back of that group and he's moving up very quickly. Wow, Dries Stevenens is on good legs. Jay McCarthy's there too. I'm not sure. Can someone tell me whether it's Dylan Van Baal or Pavel Sivakov? But Caleb Ewan's been dropped. Yates is looking really good. Ewan is not that far behind, and Ewan's doing better than Viviani too on this climb. I mean, if they sit up and start looking at each other, maybe this is the problem though. Ewan doesn't have any teammates. We've got Jans Kukelera, Daryl Impey, Jay McCarthy, Dries Stevenens. I don't know which Ineos rider it is, and Stevenens lost the wheel. Simon Yates, and the Ineos rider is coming around Yates right now. 9Ks left. Remember, this is not the end of the climbing. There is still a decisive climb left. It's a short climb, but I still think there will be moves made on that climb. So here we go. Caleb, see, this is what we called it. The Lanterne Rouge. We all know. You all called it in the chat. Caleb Ewan got exposed. He did pretty well. Like, Caleb did well on that climb. But, wow, it's a big gap. It's a big gap now. I know they're on a downhill. But he did pretty well, you know, better than I expected on the climb. But then he's got no teammates to actually close the gap for him. No Kluger to close the gap for him to these guys who've broken away. Farhan Aman, when's the Astana Neo Pro analysis video coming? I'm not sure. Maybe soon. Maybe this weekend. I'm pretty tired. And the problem with these live streams is they don't make any money. No one watches them afterwards. But they take up a lot of time, and more so they take up energy. I have to go lie down after this doing a solo live stream because I get so G'd up. But we've got a breakaway of Daryl Impey. Who is the 34? Who is the... It's Pavel Sivakov. It's Pavel Sivakov, not Dylan Van Baal in the breakaway. Jens Kukelera, Dries Stevenens, Jay McCarthy, Simon Yates. Now the problem is these guys don't want to start looking at each other and letting Caleb Ewan get back to them. Now I don't think Caleb Ewan will because he's probably pretty cooked, and they got a hard climb as well, which they're coming up to once they get off this descent. Harrison Smith, show us the race or there isn't. That doesn't make sense. That's illiterate. If you want to watch the race, just get a VPN and watch on 7. Yates is counter-attacking, and this makes sense as well, or attacking again, because you don't want to just go to the line, and I don't think these Yates and Impey would lead each other out. You don't want to just go to the line with both of you there, both sprint and get second and third. You want to you're the only team with 2 riders in this gap. You also want to make sure that you don't get caught, and they are about to get caught from, I think, the Bahrain McLaren rider is catching up to them. It might be Mark O'Hara or Pernsteiner. And if you sit up too much and Jens Kukalera counters again to the left-hand side of the road, Pavel Sivakov is chasing him. So, yeah, Jens Kukalera is doing a really good job, and they're about to come on to, or they are on right now, the last climb of the day, the decisive climb. Let's see if anyone cracks. They turn left, and it gets super steep. Gets super steep out of this left-hand turn. And Simon Yates, is he cracked? Or is he... Simon Yates has been dropped. Maybe he was just doing a good work for Daryl Impey, and Daryl Impey's launched it over this climb. Devenins is going to get dropped. Jay McCarthy's following Daryl Impey. Jay McCarthy's looking really good, even though he had a big bad crash in the Tour Down Under. 2 Ineos riders have bridged now, so it's Sivakov and Dylan van Baarle. What should Impey do? He's got Jay McCarthy and Trace Devenins on his wheel right now. Then he's got Dylan van Baarle and Pavel Sivakov who have bridged across to him. Yates has been dropped because he did a lot of work counter-attacking. So now the numerical advantage goes across to Ineos. Torrin Cow says, thank you for the super donation, Torrin Howe. Thanks for the live stream. Go get a coffee or something. I had my instant coffee, but I'll need to lie down after this. 5.6 Ks to go, and an attack from Ineos to the left-hand side of the road. This is how you use the numerical advantage. Mitchelton Scott just tried to do it with Simon Yates. Oh, this attack could stick. This attack could stick because Jay McCarthy's not trying to close this down. Obviously, the other Ineos rider won't close it. Impey's no fool, and he's just looking at each other, and this guy could go up the road. What's Phil Liggett saying to Chew Dude? What is Phil Liggett saying? Is he trolling me? 34 is Pavel Sivakov. Sivakov is looking so good right now. He could be a really good one-day rider, and someone's trying to bridge across. Trace Devenins has been the revelation of these races. He did really good, as we mentioned, in Race Torquay. Robius, welcome to the Lanterne Rouge squad. Basic, love your work, Rougie. Man, the donations, all these at once. It's too much, guys. Come on. Nah, thank you very much for the support. Really appreciate it. This Cadel Evans road race has been super exciting, and I think this is it. So Trace Devenins has gone across to Pavel Sivakov, Jay McCarthy, everyone, they're all leaning on Daryl Impey. Daryl Impey got the big work done for him by his Mitchelton Scott teammates and Simon Yates. He's now calling through, saying to Jens Kukalera, because Dylan van Baarle's obviously not going to help Daryl Impey. This is Ineos. I've always said Ineos are an underrated one-day team. Just because Ineos, and I don't even like Ineos, so I'm not just a fanboy, but just because Ineos haven't, it's not the focus of their team to win one-day races as opposed to the focus of the Tour de France. But when they do commit to a one-day race, they've done, I think, Sky Ineos done really well. They've got good results for the effort they've put into one-day races, and they've been really aggressive today from the start. And Pavel Sivakov has gone clear, and Trace Devenins is not. I don't think Trace Devenins is on his wheel. Pro Cycling Stats has said he's counterattack. No, Pavel Sivakov has dropped Devenins with 4K to go off his wheel, but this is a downhill false flat finish into the Cadel Evans road race finish. But yeah, this has been a masterclass from Ineos today. They used Luke Rowe and Ian and Stannard and co to really split it up in the crosswinds. They had a squad that was perfect for this race. Really, they've been doing massive Ks and training in Australia for a long time. But yeah, they split it in the crosswinds. They tried once, they tried twice. They then made sure they got Van Baarle and Sivakov onto Daryl Impey's wheel for the last 2 climbs of Chalumbra. That was important. Van Baarle's on the radio right now, 3.3 Ks to go. He's just sitting on. Harry Trainer says, I'll gift 1K if you get your toes out. My toes are out. You just can't see them, lad. I'm not sure. So right now, Jay, Daryl Impey, and Jens Kukalera need to ride a 3-man time trial as cohesively as possible, and I think they may bring this back. This doesn't look like a 9-second gap to me. That looks like a 5 to 6 second gap. I think if these guys can work cohesively, I know Dres Devenins and Pavel Sivakov. Devenins has come across 2.7 Ks to go and he's setting the pace with Sivakov. Sivakov is on his wheel right now. The gap has come down from 9 to 6 seconds. But I think the problem was the reason this gap went across initially, or Pavel Sivakov got the gap across, is because Michelin let out Impey. Impey attacked. Everyone sat on Impey. Simon Yates counter-attacked. Someone brought that back. And then it was Impey on the front. And then Sivakov attacked. And that meant Impey just looked over his shoulder and said, who's going to bring this back? I'm not doing it. And it was Dylan Van Baal on his wheel. So anyway, if you want to join the Lanterne Rouge channel membership, more than welcome to. Elia Viviani is in a group with Nathan Haas and Caleb Ewan. I think the big losers today are Sunweb and CCC. I'm really surprised that CCC couldn't get Simon Geschke into the pointy end of proceedings, but that's life, I guess. 7 second gap, Dres Devenins. You've got to remember it's a downhill finish as well. So that makes it more difficult for them to bring this gap back. I think it looks like 5 seconds to me. Yeah, it's 5 seconds. The group behind, and Jens Kukulera has been dropped. He's getting dropped in the gutter right now. Maybe there's a right to left crosswind because Impey's in the gutter. Don't hit the park car. Don't hit the park car. Ooh, Jesus Christ. Oh, 1.4 Ks to go. It's really whether Sivakov and Dres Devenins are going to be able to... Jay McCarthy's doing really well, and Jay McCarthy should attack right now. Jay McCarthy should snap attack and try and snap bridge across, and so he has enough time to recover. I really wish Jay had tried to attack right there. Oh, he just gutted. He just gutted Dylan Van Baal. That was so funny. But Jay just tried to. I don't think that was a complete accident either. I think Jay was like, yeah, you're gonna get in the gutter, fam. But if these guys need to just still work together. Like, this is game theory right now. Like, Darryl, I don't know why. Like, well, first off, Jay should have tried to attack when they let his wheel go. Second, there's no looking over your shoulder when, like, you'll lose the race. If you look over your shoulder for 10 seconds, these guys are working together in front of you. You can see them up the road, but they're just not working together. Like, Jay, they're sort of worried about who's behind him. Like, Jay's still, like, worried about Dylan Van Baal behind him. I don't think Jens Kukulera has the legs, but this is not coming back. This is a one-on-one between Pavel Sivakov and Dres Devenins. A magic move from Sivakov. Sivakov's going to lead it out to the left-hand side of the road, 300 meters left. I can't see because Devenins is sitting on his wheel. I don't really know much about Dres Devenins or what their kick is like. Devenins goes first to the right-hand side of the road. Sivakov responds, and I think it's Dres Devenins is going to win this race. A big win for the Quick-Step rider. The second win for Quick-Step on the 1st of February. Were their first, is that their first? No. Sam Bennett won a stage at the Tour Down Under, but they win the first World Tour one-day race of the season. That was all Dres Devenins. A magic, really strong ride from him. That was super impressive because he didn't have too much teammate support, it looked like to me. Like, Sivakov and Ineos and Dylan Van Baal had a really good... they had a really good thing going, right? So, and this is what I always think is kind of, if you're an underdog, but you actually low-key have a really strong team, then you can you can overachieve, whereas Mitchell and Scott had all the pressure on them. Everyone looking at Mitchell and Scott. They attack on the second to last climb of Chalumbra, and, you know, they look like they have a good lead out. They got Dion Smith and Howson. They're leading out Darryl Impey. But then the problem is, and we mentioned this as a risk before the last climb, the problem is that has he just got given a beer or a soda? The problem is Impey sort of got left on his own on the last third of Chalumbra. It's still quite a long way to the finish, and if you're not in a group of 1 or 2, you are going to be... He got a bit isolated. I think Impey got isolated, even though Mitchell and Scott did a really good job, whereas Ineos only had 2 riders the whole time, but those 2 riders just got to sit on the Mitchell and Scott train, and effectively Sivakov and Van Baal, they got the same benefit of the Mitchell and Scott lead out as Darryl Impey did, except they had 2 extra riders. I think what Simon Yates was doing with sitting at the back of that group maybe cost him, but he did a pretty good job as well, making it difficult. It just didn't work out. You know, maybe on another day Simon Yates attacks and Ineos wouldn't have been good enough to bring it back, but they were. Dries Devenen's massive race from him. I thought he was going to get dropped because he was at the back of that group with Mads Pedersen when he got shelled, but F's in the chat for Dries Devenens. The man, he's got bags under his eyes. He looks like he's had a hard life and very tan. Looks like he's done a lot of Ks, but this year. But I think he had it. That was really good tactically from him. He obviously had massive legs today. I think Sivakov and Van Baal played it pretty much perfectly, to be honest. And I know people will be saying, oh, well, shouldn't have Sivakov sat behind Dries Devenens? The problem was, when the gap is only 5 to 7 seconds, if you look at each other the way that, you know, Jay McCarthy and Impey were looking at each other, and Kukulera, if you look at each other for 5 seconds, you're going to get brought back. So I think Sivakov didn't really... I don't think Sivakov really had too much of a choice. I think he did a pretty good job anyway. But big win for Dries Devenens. I think he's done well in this race previously. Hit me up with your comments. Any super chats? If you enjoyed the live stream, want to support the channel, any super chats would be awesome. Or if you've got any further questions while we're talking about the finish of this race, I wouldn't say that Sivakov fully led it. He wasn't. I think Sivakov just wanted to be first. There's a straight up finish. I'm now watching the helicopter overhead shot. I don't really know why Sivakov moved over to the right in front of Dries Devenens. It looked like he had to, he just chose to do that. I think at the end of the day, Devenens had much better kick than Sivakov anyway. Dries Devenens didn't, he didn't even fully launch, I don't think, and Sivakov didn't really get up to a speed that was even matching Dries Devenens. It was a downhill finish too. Membership W Goods starts at $2.99. That's Australian currency, so that's barely any money. It's $2.99 a month. Pavel Sivakov's a big unit, so pretty... he could be a really good Classics one day guy for Ineos, the Franco-Russian rider. F is to pay respects. Big losers of today, Simon Geschke, Nathan Haas and Kofidis, I think. And Giacomo Nizzolo for NTT. They all missed the break. But did we all expect Ineos to do so well today? They also had, Cameron Worth, Luke Rowe, Stannard, Van Baal, Sivakov in the crosswinds doing a really good job. And that made it super hard for everyone else. All right. David Schnuckenberg, EF is where American cycling careers go to die. Yeah, kind of agree with you. All right. Thanks for joining the Lanterne Rouge live chat, or the watch-along of the Cadel Evans road race. It's been enjoyable. That was an enjoyable finish. I don't think Michelin Scott could have done too much different, to be honest. I think Ineos played it well, and Dries Devenens just had the best legs today. If you're watching the live stream, you can see that weird kid doing stuff next to the billboard. But thanks for joining. I've enjoyed it. I'll see you later.